The battlefield had the exhausted quiet of something that had screamed itself hoarse. Twisted hull plates lay half buried in ash, power conduits blinked like confused fireflies, and the air still smelled faintly of ionized regret. The engineer picked his way through it with the patience of a man who had learned that haste was how you lost fingers. He spoke to himself as he walked, not out of fear, but out of habit. Silence, he believed, encouraged bad ideas. He was arguing with a portable scanner that insisted everything nearby was either critically damaged or beyond hope when he saw her. She lay against the broken flank of a cruiser, one knee drawn up, one hand pressed to a fracture in her armor that hissed softly as it leaked energy. She looked human enough to make his brain relax for half a second, and alien enough to make it snap back to attention. Her ears were long, tapering elegantly back through dark hair, and they twitched when he stepped too close. "Oh," he said, because no one ever said the right thing in moments like this. "Good news, you're not scrap." Her eyes opened, sharp despite the pain. "That is comforting," she replied, voice steady in a way injuries usually disagreed with. He crouched, hands open, palms up, showing tools rather than weapons. "I'm an engineer," he said, "which means I fix things. Sometimes I fix people. I'm not very good at the second one, but I try." She studied him as if he were a puzzle assembled incorrectly. "You are unarmed." "I prefer to think of it as optimistic," he said. "Also, I lost my rifle 2 kilometers back, and I'm hoping it feels guilty and comes home." A flicker crossed her face, amusement perhaps or disbelief. "You should leave," she said. "This place is not safe." He glanced around at the ruins, the quiet sky, the smoldering wrecks. "I think the danger already had its fun," he said. "Besides, you're leaking. Armor breach, maybe a cracked regulator. If I don't seal that, you'll be unconscious in minutes, and then I'll feel very rude." She hesitated, then nodded once. Up close he could see the precision of her features, the way pain was something she managed rather than endured. He set to work, tools clicking, fingers moving with the ease of long practice. As he worked, he talked about faulty designs, about how military contractors never left enough access panels, about how his last job involved a mining drone that had developed what he swore was an attitude problem. "You speak as if this is ordinary," she said. "It is," he replied. "Broken things are everywhere, they don't care who you are." Her long ears shifted slightly, a gesture he didn't understand but found himself noticing. "And who do you think I am?" He tightened a seal and wiped soot from his hands. "A warrior who had a very bad day," he said, "and someone who deserves not to die in a pile of expensive mistakes." Despite herself, she laughed. It surprised them both. The sound felt almost foreign to her, like using a muscle long forgotten. He glanced up, smiled briefly, then returned to his work, unaware that across the galaxy her name bent entire councils into silence. For now, she was simply there, wounded and watching, unsettled not by fear or pain, but by the strange calm of a man who helped without asking what it might cost him. She regained strength in careful increments, like a system rebooting without permission to rush. He noticed it the way engineers noticed everything, by the way her breathing evened out, by how her fingers stopped clenching when distant metal shifted, by the subtle return of impatience in her eyes. He approved of that last part. Impatience, in his experience, was a sign of survival. "You're healing faster than my last patient," he said while recalibrating a portable field generator. "Granted, my last patient was a cargo loader with a cracked logic core, but still, impressive." She sat more upright this time, testing her weight, ignoring the sharp protest from her side. "You compare me to machines often." "Only the good ones," he replied. "The bad ones explode." That earned another quiet laugh, one she tried and failed to suppress. She looked away, long ears angling back in what he suspected was embarrassment, though he had no official documentation to confirm this. "You are strange," she said. "Occupational hazard," he answered. "You spend enough time talking to broken systems, you forget how to be normal, assuming normal ever existed." They rested in the shadow of wreckage while the field generator hummed, bending sensors and heat signatures away from them. He explained it cheerfully, like a man showing off a clever kitchen appliance. She listened with more attention than most commanders gave their admirals. When she asked questions, they were precise, unsettlingly informed, and he found himself simplifying less than usual. "You've had training," he said at last. "I've had responsibilities," she replied. "Ah," he nodded. "That explains the posture. Responsibility does terrible things to the spine." Her gaze lingered on him longer than necessary. "You fear nothing here." He shrugged. "That's not true. I'm terrified this generator will overload and cook us both. I'm just choosing to trust my work, and you don't seem the stabbing type." She smiled thinly. "You would not survive long in my world." "Good," he said. "I like short trips." As the hours passed, distant signals brushed against the edge of the generator's interference. She felt them like a pressure behind her thoughts, familiar and obedient, waiting. He noticed her stillness. "You okay?" he asked. "You just did that thing, where people look like they're listening to voices." "Old habit," she said smoothly. "Command noise." He nodded, accepting it without question. That unsettled her more than suspicion ever would have. Entire civilizations had been built on the assumption that her presence demanded recognition. This man offered none, and in doing so, gave her something dangerously rare: silence. When he finally leaned back, stretching with a groan, she asked, "Why did you help me?" He considered this seriously, as if it were a technical problem. "Because you were there," he said. "Because you were broken, because I could." Pick whichever sounds best. None of them did. All of them did. She looked at him, this human engineer with oil-stained hands and an incurable habit of kindness, and felt the weight of galaxies press uncomfortably against a moment she was not ready to end. The first sign was the silence changing shape. He noticed it before the sky did, before the sensors in his generator stuttered and gave up in embarrassment. Silence, when it bent, usually meant something very large was arriving politely. She felt it too. He saw it in the way her shoulders settled, not with relief but with acceptance. The long ears angled back, not in pain now but in focus. When she stood, there was no hesitation this time. The injury still existed, but it no longer defined her. "Friends of yours?" he asked, peering upward. "Because if that's a rescue team, they are extremely dramatic." The clouds parted with military precision. Ships slid into view like thoughts forming in a disciplined mind. Immense and quiet, their hulls marked with symbols he had only seen in outdated engineering manuals under the category of "do not approach under any circumstances." He stared, counted, lost count. "Right," he said slowly. "So, either I'm hallucinating or you're about to tell me something important." She turned to him. The change was not in her face, but in the gravity around her, as if space itself had remembered an old rule. "I am the sovereign architect of the unified systems," she said. "Ruler, if you prefer simpler language." He blinked once, twice. "I helped a galaxy," he said thoughtfully. "I was hoping for at least a thank you note." Despite everything, she smiled. "You will receive more than that." Figures of light appeared around them as her command network unfolded. Advisors speaking in urgent fragments she silenced with a gesture. The fleet waited. Worlds waited. She looked at the engineer instead. "They will obey," she said, "but I will not move until you speak." He rubbed his face, smearing soot across his cheek. "Okay," he said. "First, your armor seal will fail again in 12 hours unless you replace the regulator. Second, your people need to clean up their battlefield protocols. Third," he paused, met her eyes. "You're still the person who laughed at my joke about exploding machines." Something shifted then, subtle but irreversible. Orders went out, not of conquest but of repair, retreat, reconstruction. The war ended not with fire but with instructions. Later, when the ships were gone and the sky was quiet in the old, honest way, she asked him to stay, not as a subject, not as a symbol, as an engineer. He considered the ruins, the stars, his hands. "I think," he said, "I'm ready to fix bigger things." She nodded, ruler and warrior and woman all at once. And somewhere between galaxies and jokes, both of them stepped into a future neither had calculated, but both were willing to build.